Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters. So, in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the heavenly tabernacle and the anointed priest ministry. Okay, now if you know if you know the Exodus story, there was a tabernacle that was made. This tabernacle, brothers and sisters, was a replica of the heavenly tabernacle. Okay, now if you look to the right top corner, it says Tabernacle, the place of burning. Okay, let's get into this. Excuse me. Tabernacle, the place of burning. In the book of Numbers, chapter 11, verse 1 through 3, notice what it says. And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, and the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burnt among them, and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. And the people cried unto the Lord, and when Moses prayed unto the Lord, the fire was quenched. And he called the name of the place Tabernacle, because the fire of the Lord burnt among them. Now, when I read this, I'm like, man, that's very interesting, because the word Tabernacle is the same root word of tabernacle, right? Both of these words have Taber at the beginning. So then I looked up, well, what does the word Tabernacle mean? Tabernacle means place of burning, or the fire of the Lord. Now, how does this relate to the tabernacle? If we look at the tabernacle, if you know the tabernacle and everything that was going on in the tabernacle, you would know that the tabernacle had so much fire that it was almost unbearable to be around that much fire. Let's look at it, brothers and sisters. In the tabernacle, you had the altar of burnt offering. That's one type of fire. Then you had the altar of incense. That's another type of fire. You had the table of showbread. You needed fire to make the showbread, right? That's another type of fire. You had the 7 branch candlesticks, which some call the menorah. That's another type of fire. You had the pillar of fire upon the tabernacle at night. That's another type of fire. You had the fiery serpents that bit the children of Israel, okay, and they lived. That's another type of fire. Then you had the glory of the Lord that was upon the mountain. That was another type of fire. So we see it was so much fire surrounding the children of Israel in the wilderness. It would have to have been unbearable, brothers and sisters, to be around that much fire. Okay, now there was a reason for this much fire. What was the reason? The reason was because, brothers and sisters, the tabernacle that was established on earth is a representation of the tabernacle in heaven. I want you to watch this video about what goes on in outer space. Excuse me.
Why do astronauts say space smells like a mix of hot metal, diesel fumes, and barbecue? Let's find out. According to astronauts, space has a unique aroma, a bit like hot metal, diesel fumes, and barbecue. Quite the unexpected combo, right? This intriguing smell comes from polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs for short. When stars and planets form or get destroyed, these PAHs get released into space. They then cling onto astronaut suits and equipment when they step outside the International Space Station. So when they come back in, they bring a whiff of space with them. Next time you light up the grill, just imagine you're catching a hint of the cosmos. How cool is that? Like and follow for more fascinating space facts.
Okay, so as we just seen in that video, brothers and sisters, the heavenly tabernacle, which is the outer space realm. I don't really like to say outer space because we're already in outer space. Earth is part of outer space. Okay? But the heavenly realm, the sun, the moon, the stars, okay? That is the heavenly tabernacle. Okay? And like they said, it smells as if something is burning. This is why the earthly tabernacle had so much fire, because it was a representation of the sun, the moon, the stars, the lights. Okay? So this is why they made the heavenly tabernacle, the earthly tabernacle, because it was a representation of the heavenly. You've heard the prayer, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Okay? Now, I want to discuss the priesthood. Brothers and sisters. This is probably the wrong slide. We're going to go to this side first. We'll come back to that other slide. Notice here, we have visible and invisible light. Okay, I'm looking at the image that's directly in the middle. Notice that we have ultraviolet, which is purple. Then we have infrared, which is a reddish color, right? Now look to the right. Look to the very far right. We have the sunlight. Now the sunlight gives off infrared light, it gives off ultraviolet light, and it gives off visible light. Now visible light should not be the colors of the rainbow. Visible light is white. So it really should be red, white, purple. Okay? But when visible light is scattered, then that white light becomes rainbow color. It's just like when you see a rainbow or a prism. A better example is a prism. If you ever seen those pictures where you see the white light goes into the prism and then you see the colors of the rainbow scattered. Okay? So it should be infrared light, then white light, then ultraviolet light. Now, what does this have to do with the tabernacle that was established on earth? Look down here to the far left corner, far left bottom corner. Exodus chapter 35, verse 25. Notice what it says. And all the women that were wise-hearted did spin with their hands, and they brought that which they had spun, both of blue and purple, and of scarlet, and of fine linen. So we have 4 different colors here. Blue, purple, scarlet, linen. Why did they choose those 4 colors? The reason they chose those 4 colors is because it represents light. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Those 4 colors, the blue represents the skylight. The purple represents the ultraviolet light. Scarlet represents the infrared light. And linen represents the visible white light. So they chose to use these colors because it represents light. Okay? Now look at Psalms chapter 104, verse 1 through 2. It says, bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who coverest thyself with light as with a garment, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain. If you remember, the tabernacle was stretched out. It was a tent, and it had curtains, okay? And the tabernacle had these 4 colors: blue, purple, scarlet, linen. Why? Because it represented the heavenly tabernacle, okay, which is the house of light, brothers and sisters. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense to you. Why did they choose those four colors? Because those colors represent light. Okay? Now, let us continue. Garment of wisdom light. Okay? As you see here, we have this picture of an individual clothed in light. Okay? Look at what it says in Exodus chapter 26, verse 1. Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet. With cherubims of cunning work shalt thou make them. Again, the tabernacle was made with those four colors: white linen, blue, purple, and scarlet. Exodus chapter 28, verse 6. And they shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, and of purple, of scarlet, and fine twined linen with cunning work. Again, ephod was made of those same four colors. Exodus chapter 28, verse 8. And the curious girdle of the ephod which is upon it shall be of the same, according to the work thereof, even of gold, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. Okay, Exodus 28:15. And thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment with cunning work, after the work of the ephod thou shalt make it, of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen thou shalt make it. Everything regarding the tabernacle was made of white linen, blue, purple, and scarlet. Why? Because it represented light, brothers and sisters. Again, visible light, where you see visible light, it should be white. Okay? Should be white, because white light is scattered and it becomes the colors of the rainbow. Okay? Now, I want to go back. On this slide, I have power, which is masculine, and wisdom, which is feminine. Okay? In Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 12, notice what it says. He have made the earth by his power. He have established the world by his wisdom, and have stretched out the heavens by his discretion. Jeremiah 51, verse 15. He have made the earth by his power. He has established the world by his wisdom, and have stretched out the heaven by his understanding. Okay? 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 23 and 24. But we preach Christ crucified, unto the Jews a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks foolishness. But unto them which are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ the power of God and the wisdom of God. So right here we see that the anointed, in the Hebrew they say Hamashiach. Okay? We speak English, so I'm speaking English to those of us that speak English. I know a little Hebrew. Okay? Christ is considered the power of God and the wisdom of God. Now, we just read in Jeremiah that he made the earth by his power and he established the world by his wisdom. So it was Christ in the beginning who had power with the Father in the hand of creation. Okay? Now, I'm getting somewhere with this. I want you to follow along with me, brothers and sisters. Okay? Also in the Bible, concerning the priest, I want you to notice here. Matter of fact, we're going to come back. Let us come back. I want you to notice this picture. Aaron in the wilderness was a representation of Christ. He wasn't Christ, but he represented Christ. You see, brothers and sisters, all the priests in the Bible, the anointed priests, they were representations of Christ. They couldn't be Christ. What do I mean by that? You cannot become the Messiah. So they had to make a costume that represented the Messiah. Hopefully that makes sense to you. When Aaron put on those garments, it was a representation of the Messiah. It's just like saying this: you can't be Batman. For those of you that got kids, your kids want to be Batman for Halloween. I know Halloween is pagan. I know that. But for those of you that do engage in that, your child can't be Batman. Batman isn't real, right? But let's say he was real. Your child can't be Batman. So what do? You buy him a costume of Batman. Aaron could not be Christ. So a costume was made to represent him as Christ. So if you want to learn about Christ in the heavenly tabernacle, you need to study Aaron in the earthly tabernacle. Okay? So Aaron had two sets of garments that he put on. He had the garment of wisdom light. Then he had the garment of power. Okay? Let us go back. Let us look at the garment of power. It says, Exodus chapter 28, verse 38. And this is speaking about the golden plate. Aaron had a golden plate upon his head. And it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which the children of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall be always upon his forehead, that they may be accepted before the Lord. So Aaron had to wear this gold plate. Okay? This gold plate. Now that plate was heavy, brothers and sisters. That gold that Aaron had to wear, that stuff was heavy. That's why this is the garment of power. Okay? Exodus 28:12. And thou shalt put the two stones upon the shoulders of the ephod for stones of memorial unto the children of Israel. And Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord upon his two shoulders for a memorial. So he had to bear the golden plate on his forehead. Then he had to bear the onyx stones on his shoulders. Okay? Then Exodus chapter 28, verse 29. And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, when he goeth in unto the holy place for a memorial before the Lord continually. So Aaron had to bear these things, brothers and sisters. What does bear mean? It means to carry the weight of, to support, to endure an ordeal or difficulty. He had to bear these things up. These things was heavy, brothers and sisters. Being a priest, let me say this. Being a priest wasn't necessarily a good thing. Because being a priest was you were standing in the stead of the sinner. The children of Israel had committed iniquity and sin. So you needed a priest to atone for you. You needed a priest to work out your salvation for you. If you remember in the wilderness, the children of Israel had to set up the tabernacle. And then they had to take down the tabernacle, and then they would move to another location. And then they had to set up the tabernacle again. So imagine you moved every week. So after every 7 days, you move to another location. That will become a task that is very burdensome. Hope that's a word. Is burdensome a word? I think it is a word. Let me see. Burdensome. Yeah, burdensome is a word. That will become very taxing, brothers and sisters. If you had to move, every time the Lord was ready to move, you had to take the tabernacle down. You had to take all the furniture. You had to gather all the furniture. You had to carry all the furniture. Then you had to go to wherever the Spirit of the Lord went. That's where you had to go. Then you had to set up the tabernacle all over again. And you had to keep doing this every time the Lord decided he was ready to move. And they did this for 40 years in the wilderness. Imagine moving every week for 40 years in the wilderness. This was a burden. This is you people think that being a priest is a good thing. A priest was bearing the burdens of the people. Okay? This was not a good thing, brothers and sisters. But it technically was. Okay? Because somebody was standing in that stead to make an atonement for you. Somebody was the mediator between sinners and the sinless, okay, which is the Father and the Son. So we see here Aaron had garments of power, but he also had garments of wisdom. Now, why do I say those are garments of wisdom? Because females wear colorful garments, okay? I believe there's a story in the Bible where a woman had on she had on a colorful robe. Let me see if I'm pulling it up on my laptop so you guys won't be able to see it. Robe of the virgins. Yes, so if you go back and read 2 Samuel chapter 13 verse 18, it speaks of how the virgins had robes of diverse colors. Okay? So the garment of wisdom, also, if you remember in the book of Revelations, the woman was clothed with the sun. The woman was clothed with the sun. This is exactly what the high priest was clothed in. What does this mean, brothers and sisters? The high priest represented the male and feminine being brought together. The male and the feminine being brought together. Okay? The male represents the power. That's all the different stones that he had to wear. He had power to uphold Israel. But the feminine represents the garments of light. Okay? That may be hard for you to comprehend, brothers and sisters. What am I telling you? I'm telling you that your Lord, the one you call Christ, the one you call the Hamashiach, he's male and female. And this is what the priesthood represented, brothers and sisters. Okay? This is his feminine light, his feminine garment that he was clothed in. But then he had his masculine garment that he was clothed in. And he had to bring those two together. That's why Aaron was given the breastplate, because that represents the feminine, brothers and sisters. Okay? Notice what it says. The male and female high priest. Now, what do I mean by male and female high priest? The one you call Jesus, who the world calls Jesus, he's male and female, brothers and sisters. He don't have a womb to reproduce, but he do have breasts like a woman. Okay? He has a high level of estrogen, just like Adam had a high level of estrogen. Okay? Look at John chapter 13, verse 25. He then, lying on Jesus' breast, said unto him, Lord, who is it? Jesus has breast. John 21, verse 20. Then Peter, turning about, seeth the disciple whom Jesus loved following, which also leaned on his breast at supper, and said, Lord, which is he that betrayeth thee? It's a reason they're telling us Jesus has breasts, because he's male and female, brothers and sisters. Revelation chapter 1, verse 13. And in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. Do you know what the paps is, brothers and sisters? The paps are the breast. He has breasts like a female because he has a high level of estrogen in him. This is what the priesthood represented. It was the unification of the male and the female. Because the only way to atone for the children means sons and daughters. The only way to atone for the children of Israel, he had to be male and female. Aaron was not male and female. Aaron put on the male and female garment. Okay? The Christ that you are looking for, brothers and sisters, is male and female. I don't know how many times I got to keep telling you that. He's male and female. Okay? So we have the garment of wisdom and we have the garment of power. Male and female, brought together in one. So anybody claiming to be a high priest, if you're not male and female, you're not a high priest. The one who's speaking to you is your high priest. And I can prove it. Okay? So, Aaron had to put on those two different type of garments because it represented the male and female. Okay? He had his garment of light, which was his wisdom light. Then he had his garment of power, which is his masculine power. Okay, that stuff was heavy, brothers and sisters. You think those chains was just some soft, weak chains? You think those stones on his shoulders was just some soft stones? That stuff was heavy. That stuff was heavy. But he had power to uphold Israel. See, if he would have fell down, Israel would have been destroyed. So he was strong enough to uphold Israel. Okay? And that's what those garments represented, brothers and sisters. The masculine and the feminine being brought together in one. Okay? Now, if you have not watched my video about the male and female unity of the Messiah, go back and watch these 3 videos. To the left, we see the estrogen wisdom in the Son of God. Okay, at the bottom, we see Lord, Lord, the mystery of wisdom. Okay, and to the right, we see godly Joseph and godly Judah, Akhenaten and Baphomet, male and female gods. If you have not watched these 3 videos, brothers and sisters, go back and watch these 3 videos. Okay, and then everything that I've said here concerning the priesthood, it would all make sense to you, brothers and sisters. Okay? Especially for those of you that want to know about Joseph, go back and watch Godly Joseph and Godly Judah. It will all make sense to you, brothers and sisters. Okay? And you'll understand why Joseph had a coat of many colors. Okay? So, hopefully you learned something. Let's go back over what we learned today real quick. You had a heavenly tabernacle. Okay? That heavenly tabernacle was established on earth. This is where we see all that fire come from, because it's fire burning in the outer space realm above us. Okay? Now that tabernacle had these 4 colors: blue, purple, scarlet, linen. Okay? Because that represented light. The high priest put on those same colors. So he was clothed in a garment of light, but he also had another set of garments. These garments represented his garments of power, garments of light, which is wisdom, and garments of power, which is the masculine. And those garments were brought together into one, which represent the male and female high priest. Okay? So hopefully you learned something from this video. And until next time, peace.